Yeah, so there's like a lot of ways we can get into it if we're ready to go. Anyone need to get a drink or use the bathroom, anything like that?
No, I'm good. I'm worried I'll go over there and then I'll come back and you guys will be different people and go by different names. Then I'll be confused. I won't have any idea what's going on. And the whole podcast will be ruined.
Hey, podcast girl, time to wake up. And then we start going. You can just pretend we're all doing like the jitterbug in front of a green screen. However you choose.
Okay, I was convinced I was watching the wrong movie at that point.
That is so funny to me. So we'll get into this, too. But like you were what, like a half hour in when you texted me, like, I think I've downloaded some kind of horribly corrupted file.
He kept saying that, and I was like, Greg, that doesn't make any sense.
That makes me think you weren't entirely focused on the vibe of the film.
Well, at first, like
not that you're wrong with that. Like, you have that weird, like, if I'm watching a movie in a theater and I know that the projector's off, I'll be like so hyper focused on that I won't be paying attention to the movie.
Well, I only kind of thought, and I was like, maybe the movie's just weird. And then after like a half hour, and I still had no idea what was going on, I was like, maybe I fucked up.
I don't understand the dancing at the beginning, but Greg was convinced that it was like added in, like somebody like messed with the file and like added that scene in. I was like, Greg, that makes no sense. Why would somebody
middle
do
school
this?
LimeWire flashbacks to like,
but like, why would somebody put that in?
It's like weirdly ripped from a radio broadcast, and you hear like some DJ from Tucson introducing the song on your MP3 player.
I was so confused.
Well, it's not quite that.
It's okay. I was only confused for 2.5 hours.
It's great, though. We'll get into it. I'm really excited to talk about this one. But as you guys know, I don't know how to start the podcast. So we'll either do some fun bits, talk about some of our favorite parts. If maybe, yeah. You're only saying that because you loved it all, right?
Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'm not even done with the intro yet. You're right. Yeah. Or it'll be something along the lines of Welcome to Late to the Movies. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week, we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have woken up by now. This week, the movie number 8 on the most recent Sight and Sound poll determining the greatest films of all time. Mulholland Drive, David Lynch's 2001 opus. Maybe. It's probably my favorite Lynch film, but we'll get into all that. Before, though, I should introduce my guests this week. Left to right across our podcast style, we got Ray.
Hi.
We got Greg.
Hey.
As always, you guys been watching anything fun recently? What's up? What's been going on?
We actually saw a movie separately.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, we saw Avatar, Way of Water. It was good. Yeah. It was like the first movie I saw in theaters in a long, long time.
Yeah, you were telling me you thought it was since No Way Home.
I think it was since No Way Home. So it was nice. It was really enjoyable. I didn't really love the first Avatar, and I thought this one was a lot better. So I was pretty happy with it. I'll be honest, I only saw it because I was like, oh, this is going to get nominated for something, and I want to watch it beforehand. And I was like, if I don't go see it now in theaters, I'll have to go like find it on some streaming thing and watch it on my TV, and it won't be as good. But yeah, it was really cool.
That's probably the right thought. It was fun to see. I don't know if it'll still be in IMAX in March. It'll be in theaters for sure. Just due to a lack of really much else.
As soon as I got home, I told Ray, because I saw it before her, I didn't want to spoil anything, but I was like, this one's real cool. Like the creatures and like the machines and all the stuff they designed for this. Real cool. I don't know who thought of it, but it's real cool. I like it a lot. And then she went to see it and she came home. And as soon as she came home, like one of the first things she said was, "You really liked the little crab boats, didn't you?" Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, crab boats are
I knew
dope.
Immediately.
I love it. It's like such a James Cameron thing that the technology of the evil guys is super cool. That's just like always the case. But I love that there's when the first time you see the crab boats and they're getting ready to when they're trying to kill the mom whale and the calf. And there's one crab that goes, but that like sidesteps by the camera and does like a stereotypical, like, pounding a fist into a hand thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm evil.
About to kick some ass. And it's like, you're a robot crab. It's so funny that's a motion that you would do at this point, but it doesn't matter. It's about, it's entertaining as hell. So yeah, what did you think of it, Ray? But besides just the obvious note that Greg loves the crab.
Yeah. I think it probably was better than the first one. The first one I really disliked the plot. I thought it was like super cliche. This one was still cliche, but less so, I think. So I don't know. The visuals was really fun to watch. So I'm glad that I went to go see that in theaters just for that. Yeah, the underwater stuff was all cool. I feel like I started getting that claustrophobic's not the right word, but whatever the thing of like fear of drowning is basically.
Yeah.
So I feel like that means that you did it right if I'm like worried that I'm actually underwater and kind of freaking out about it.
Yeah.
I like the plot of this one a lot more.
Yeah, it was
I do too. It's just like this one's so hyper focused on. It's not like the main thing that the humans as a whole are trying to accomplish, taking out Jake Sully. It's more like, well, we have this kind of like horrible marine revenant 9-foot tall guy, and he really wants to go kill Jake Sully, and that would help us. So we're going to let him loose. We're building a city here. I suppose we'll see that city in the next one.
Yeah, because I felt like it was a lot more about the individual characters than like,
yes,
you know,
yeah. What I was just saying that just to mean like it was personal this time.
Yes,
it wasn't just like a sort of, the unobtainium thing that everyone made fun of last
Yes. Instead, that was kind of more in the background because it is that one scene where they're just like, we're going to live here. Like, this is going to be the new Earth. And then they never come back to that. You're just like, oh, okay. And that's just like a background thing. And then obviously 2 hours in, they're like, also, whale brains make you live forever.
I love that. It's like 2 hours into a movie. What a fun idea to introduce that we've discovered immortality and it's whale oil based.
That's what I was a little annoyed with. Like, I'm like, really? The bad guys are hunting whales. Like the first one, they were cutting down the trees. This one, they're hunting the whales. Like all things that are clearly very bad. So I was kind of rolling my eyes through that until they were like, yeah, and this juice makes you live forever. And I was like, oh, wait, what?
I'm on board.
Back up.
Oh,
yeah. You think whale hunters get a bad rap? Is that the problem? You think this was unfair to whale hunters?
No,
yes.
No.
No,
it's just very clearly bad. You know, so it's like, oh, we're, the villains are hunting whales. The villains are cutting down the trees.
In the next one, the villains, the humans, they're going to try to make money by selling cigarettes to underage Na'vi children.
Yeah, and Ray's going to be like, oh, this again.
But yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Oh, we watched Wednesday too.
Oh, nice.
That was good. I liked that one a lot, actually.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I didn't see it yet, but people are like, oh, it wasn't what I thought it was. Because it ends up being like kind of like a mystery or something.
It was, it was a mystery.
That's not what I expected.
I want to watch it. I just haven't.
Yeah. And I feel like it was a well-done mystery, too.
Yeah.
You just reminded me it's a long weekend. Maybe I will now.
You should. It's worth.
Yeah.
So it wasn't super predictable or something.
Yeah, I mean, they like kept a lot of things open through the whole thing.
I felt like they gave you enough information where you could kind of start figuring things out, but like, I don't know.
They gave you like a few possible threads that it could possibly be, and you had to try to figure out which one you wanted to follow, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than like just kind of pointing you down in one direction the whole time. So
yeah, or like just giving you a bunch of random clues. It was like, here's like your possibilities, kind of. What do you think?
Yeah.
So I like that.
So that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've been watching movies, man. I've just been watching them. It's been horrible. No, I'm kidding. I have been watching a lot of movies. Specifically for this episode, I watched a few movies this week. But I'll talk about those when we get into the actual movie discussion. Aside from that, I watched a movie this week that came out, I think early last year. It's tough it's this very small movie. So I think it played at some festivals in like 2021, but it's technically a 2022 movie. And as people being critics and publications release their like best of the year lists, I'm, trying to find some stuff that seems interesting to fill in some of the blanks. And this was one of them. It's called We're All Going to the World's Fair. It's a movie mostly probably like 80-90% told in webcam-based YouTube videos about a girl who's engaged in like a creepypasta ARG game and sort of like the videos that she makes while she's playing the game. And the main person in it is a teen. I think her name's Anna Cobb, who I think it's like her debut movie, and it's whoa. She's pretty fantastic in it. And the director, it's their debut feature, Jane Shelburne, I want to say. And all this to say, it looks like it was made for like under a few $100. And the actor's next movie is Bones and All, which is already out, which is a Timothée Chalamet movie.
Oh, yep.
And the director's next movie is going to be an A24 one. So they both like,
wow.
So the right people saw this movie for both of them. So I was interested to check it out. And yeah, it's really cool. It's labeled as a horror, but it's just not. It is really cool though. It is pretty unsettling at times. And it's kind of about sort of like the bad stuff that can happen to people on the internet. I don't know. There's not a lot to it, so I really don't want to spoil any part of it, but Google it. Maybe that'll read a summary and see if you want to check it out. I think the whole thing's like 80 minutes, so good for that too.
That is always nice.
At the end of this episode, just a little programming note, we'll do some talking about the Oscars as it is now after the Golden Globes. There's some other precursors happening now or announcing their nominees now. This episode's coming out the day before the nominees will, so we'll know right away whether or not we're right or not. So we'll talk about some things that might get nominated for Best Picture at the end of this episode. And if I'm feeling ambitious, maybe I'll put in a timestamp in the description on your podcatcher app. But we're going to talk about Mulholland Drive first, unless there's anything else we want to get to before that.
No, I'm ready to drive.
Let's do it.
All right. So, as always, our disclosure form we got to fill out first. I've seen this movie before, and I love it so much. It's one of those movies that I feel like is like really personal to me, and it's like a real reflection of how other people feel about me if they don't like it, I think. So, Greg, what? How about you?
So, yeah, this is the first time I've seen this movie. Yeah. So I know it was like top 8 best. I'd probably put in like my top 8 least favorite movies I've ever seen, maybe.
Okay. All right.
I really disliked this movie on like a whole nother level, I feel like.
You're breaking my heart, Ray. How about you?
I liked it, I think.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I went into it and I had absolutely no idea what to expect. I knew nothing about it. I could not guess what this movie was going to be about.
Yeah.
And most of the way through, I still could not guess what the movie was going to be about.
Fair enough.
But I think I really liked it.
Good.
Okay, I went into this movie
We outnumber you, Greg.
with high
Yeah.
expectations.
That's
I'm
why
not
I
gonna lie.
hoped that Robbie would be here too, because I wanted.
I went
one
into
more
this
opinion.
movie,
Yeah,
and I told Ray, because Ray was like, "What is this about?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I think it's gonna be like one of those Oscar movies that we go into and we know nothing about, and then we're just like blown away, and we're like, wow, I can't believe this is a movie that I've never heard of before. It's so good." And that's how I went into this movie. And then by like an hour into this movie, I was like, when is this thing gonna end?
No, I didn't feel that way.
Well, okay. You lose. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, and it's real talk. This is one of my favorite movies. Probably one of my top couple favorite movies. So I was really excited to talk about it today. Before we get into context and plot details and actors and casting and all that, who wants to give a 1-minute plot summary?
Not me.
I'll try. It's
All
not gonna
right.
be good.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so our movie starts. This lady is driving down Mulholland Drive, and then her limo driver tries to shoot her. A car crashes into their car, and she runs off into the woods with her concussion. She wanders into somebody's house and falls asleep. Someone shows up at the house and thinks that she's a guest, and then they become friends as they're trying to figure out what happened to this lady. At the same time, lots of other stuff is happening. There's a director getting shaken down by the mob or something to hire a certain actress. There's some guy at a restaurant who's having nightmares. There's like just a whole bunch of other things going on. They kind of try to figure out who this lady is. They think she knows someone named Diane, and then they go to like a bar that's makes them sad, and then it turns out that they're not who they think they are. And
10 seconds.
one of them ends up being the waitress or something in the restaurant. And then one of them's the lady the mob wants to be hired, but they weren't these people before. And then one of them hires a hitman who was in the movie earlier shooting people to kill the other person. And they've also had sex a couple times. And then the movie and then tiny old grandparents chase the lady and she shoots herself in the face. Is that pretty good?
You didn't mention the homeless person, but that's, you got most of it in there. I do want to try and keep the focus for the most part on you guys not having seen it before. What was like your experience of watching it before we get into necessarily like commonly recognized interpretations and stuff like that?
Sure. So, right off the bat with this movie, obviously it starts off, and you're very much blind because this lady's just about to get murdered in her like limo, and she happens to get lucky and escape. Shortly after that, you start seeing like, that's when it starts cutting to these other groups of people doing things. And as soon as that happened, I was kind of vibing with it, honestly, because I was like, oh, it's going to be like a mystery. All these things, there's going to be like some big payout. They're all going to be linked. Like all these things are happening there at the same time. And I was like, oh, trying to place where things are happening, because we do jump between a few different people. And then I think at some point I was just like, these things aren't going to be very related or like not relating in a way I thought. And I was like, maybe this isn't a mystery. And I think that's kind of when things started to fall apart.
Is it similar, but more fun for you, maybe?
It was more fun. I was enjoying the ride because I was confused the whole time, and I feel like
I'm so confused.
I feel like I enjoy that a little bit because I was trying to piece it together, and it just wasn't coming together. And I like when movies don't really just hand me something. I like trying to puzzle it out. I thought it was going to be like, I think like what Greg said, like, what was that movie? Was it Crash? Where like all the things come together in the end?
I think
I don't know. I don't know. There's a movie where you like see all these people's different stories, and then by the time that you reach the
Love
end,
Actually?
No, that's okay. I thought that they were all gonna like come together at the end, and it was gonna show how it was all related. And that's not how it was. And then
except for the guy having the nightmare, he's just gone.
Yeah, I don't know. Once I figured out that it was supposed to be a dream, like I don't know. I feel like I want to watch it again.
Interesting. Okay.
Is it a dream? I didn't think it was a dream.
Greg and I didn't really talk about it much.
That's fine. Save it for the pod.
Yeah.
That's what we always say.
Yeah.
So before we get it too far into interpretation, David Lynch is who directed this movie. I don't know if we've said yet. David Lynch, who directed this movie, is famously resistant to ever really explaining himself. And if you look up any time that he's been asked to do so for any of his movies, he usually says something or a variation on like the film is the talking. Once you put out a movie, everyone wants you to talk about it, but the movie is the thing that was the talking, and now it's over. So he doesn't, give a master class and go point by point and say what is what. But notably, one thing that you left out of your 1-minute plot summary is that the movie starts with people being badly green screened, doing like a jitterbug thing. And you see a sort of in the spotlight, but kind of hazy image of Naomi Watts with the two old people. And then you hear like a snort and see a point of view of somebody passing out onto a pillow, a red pillow and red bed sheets. And there's like a green blanket, which you also see a red pillow and red bed sheets and a green blanket later in the movie a couple times. Do you remember when?
Nope.
Okay.
I know when, but I read about it a little bit.
That's okay. So another thing that David Lynch says is that people like might leave a movie and say like, oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I thought at all. But that if they went with like other people, they'll go to like, the corner shop and talk about it. And the second person will say, oh, well, I thought this happened. And then the first person will be like, oh no, that's not what happened at all. So they actually did know what they thought about it. And it might mean something different to every person, but they intuitively know what it means to them, even if they can't really like say it. Like it would be like describing a song to someone that hasn't heard it. Those are some of the things he said. Anyway, the common interpretation is that the first 2/3 of it are Diane's dream. And then when the cowboy says, hey, pretty girl, time to wake up, the rest of that's the actual reality. And even within that last third, there's a couple flashbacks. So that's the very basic kind of interpretation.
Forgot about the cowboy.
The cowboy is fantastic.
The cowboy, I don't know. What is the cowboy supposed to represent? Because at first I was like, oh, this guy is either the devil or he's death. Or
I know there's a few people who could be the devil in this movie.
So I couldn't figure
You're like, the cowboy might be the devil, but then you get that magician guy yelling "No hay banda." Like, that guy's giving off some real devil vibes too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll tell you like what I think, and I'm, there's no right answer because there can't be. So that might not be as satisfying, but yeah, I guess this is a good time to sort of step in and be like, if you haven't seen this movie, you should go watch it, and then come back and it'll be a more interesting discussion. Yeah. So Diane, who is the actual Naomi Watts person that you see for the last third of the movie, Diane Selwyn,
who's Betty in the beginning.
Yep. She is a seemingly not that successful actress who moved to LA after winning some sort of local jitterbug contest and, went to LA afterwards to become a star, and it didn't really work out. And so she has this guilt-ridden nightmare dream where basically everything that's gone wrong in her life isn't her fault. She hasn't got any good parts because the Betty version of her in the dream never actually could have won that starring role because there's some shadowy cabal of Hollywood conspiracy organization that is making it so Camilla has to get this role. And it wasn't that she lost the role, it's that it was never possible for her to get the role, basically. And a bunch of other stuff's happening too, but that's like, so the cowboy is just part of like the weird shadowy conspiracy to keep her out of getting the lead role in the Sylvia North story. Yeah. To answer that specific question. But him and the Castiglione brothers or whatever, the Italian guys who are really mad in the boardroom.
Yes. That scene was so weird.
Scene's fantastic. Dan Hedaya, who I think he's the dad in Clueless, is one of the guys who talks more. But the one who has the espresso and then just keeps saying, "This is the girl," is Angelo Badalamenti, who is the composer of the score of this movie as well, including a lot of other scores for David Lynch movies. He just died. R.I.P. Shout out Angelo. That's why I mentioned. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it's that interesting if I just sort of say like, here's what I think happened. So
yeah,
if there's
I'll be
anything else,
honest. I didn't even like consider that it was a dream just because like, I don't know. I just, that's just not what I was expecting out of the movie, I think, is part of it. Like I was just so, I don't know. I wasn't even fixed on anything in particular. Like I said in the beginning, I really was just along for the ride. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I was digging that Adam, the director, was just carrying around a golf club the whole time for no reason and smashing cars. I was like, this is cool. And then he was covered in pink paint for the rest of the movie. I was like, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Although the whole love story, I guess, between Diane and Camilla or Betty and Rita also was so weird and just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So Betty and Rita are like, maybe this is all, just an implied allegedly under anything that we say on this, really. But they could be two different parts of Diane's psyche. And a lot of the movie is just the theme of like getting a do-over, repetition, trying to get it right this time. So Betty is the version of her that came to Hollywood and actually did a good job. And Rita is the version that's just like a clean slate. And maybe she hates herself so much that she'd rather just be no one and forget everything than be herself. So, and then the one that I always sort of am more, I guess, aligned with is that Rita represents a version of Camilla that depends entirely on Diane, Betty, as opposed to in real life, Camilla left Diane / Betty and then humiliated her at like a terrible dinner party.
Yes.
Which started the spiral that led to Diane hiring a hitman to kill Camilla and then have all these regrets.
2 things. Betty can't be the successful version of her because she lets someone with a concussion take a nap. Plain and simple.
She tells her not to, and then she's just like, well, okay.
Yeah,
you know your own body.
It wasn't ignorance. She's like, you shouldn't take a nap if you have a concussion, and she just let her do it anyway.
And 2,
Rita's pretty insistent.
The scene with the hitman was really good.
So yeah, she's looking for ways that it's not her fault that this happened, and for ways to do her life over, and maybe things will work out different this time. Like maybe the hitman I hired is really bad at his job. And so the dream version of the hitman is incompetent and is shooting random people in the butt.
He shot so many people. I think that was one of the things that threw me off too, because like this has to come back because he shoots all the people, he steals the black book, and then he comes back one more time where he's like asking questions where it's kind of made it seem like he was trying to find Rita.
Yeah.
And then he does not come back until Diane hires him.
Mm-hmm.
And I did notice when she hires him, he has the black book, which I thought was kind of interesting. But
yeah,
I kept expecting to, because they go to that diner a couple times to see the other 2 guys at the diner, but I don't think they are ever there.
She sees Dan at the diner.
Which one is Dan?
Dan's the one that like has the heart attack in the first Winkies scene.
Oh, see, I was looking for him. I didn't notice him.
Was he standing at the counter?
He was standing at the counter when Diane sees him there.
But I think that was it.
And then to me, it's just like she sees a person in that diner, and then in like the nightmare that she has about the diner, she's just like projecting like there's a guy that I saw there.
Mm-hmm.
And his name's Dan because Dan sounds like Diane. And so through Dan, she's confronting like her biggest fear, which is herself in the dumpster.
Was that her?
Maybe. It's like how she sees herself, maybe, as like this horrible, like lowest form of humanity kind of thing.
Oh,
or not.
Homeless people are not the lowest form of humanity. They're just down on their luck, man. Wow.
Well, you find out later that that's just a normal homeless person that's just kind of dirty. But it's originally presented as this horrific sight.
It is, yeah. And she kills that guy.
Notably, right, yeah. So notably the homeless person there, the bum, I believe they're credited as is played by a woman, which most people don't pick up on because they flash across the screen real quick. And it's, I don't know. Did that do anything for you? That's like one of my favorite jump scares in movies. And this isn't this isn't even a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if I jumped, but I was like not expecting that.
Yeah. Is that when you texted me like none of this has been? Nothing that's happened so far has featured a character from a previous scene.
It was a little later, but yeah.
Yeah.
They've introduced 50 characters. Yeah. None of them have come back yet. Is this just a bunch of short stories?
But like really short and without conclusion? Or well, I guess Dan's dead, so that's a conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's not even really a horror movie. It's more thriller or psychological thriller. But that's maybe like my favorite jump scare. It's right up there with the defibrillator one from The Thing for me.
Wow.
Like favorite jump scares in movies, yeah.
I think I was also upset that Betty just kept being like, yeah, we found you and you had a concussion. I let you sleep it off. And now like we're going on an adventure. And I'm like, lady, please call the police. Get this lady medical attention. She's like, let's break in this window. I'm like, what is this lady doing?
Yeah, it's there's definitely stuff so the issue is like, you know, I don't want to just be like, and here's what happens next, and here's what you missed and stuff, because there's definitely things that you would pick up on if you watched it again.
Yeah, that's why I feel like I want to watch it again.
I don't know if you would though, because you really didn't like it.
I wouldn't watch it again.
Yes, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
But I'm sure there's stuff I was thinking, even I was like, oh, I bet you there'd be more if I watched this again.
Because like you're picking up on like who lives where and like what color their walls are, I guess, and that it's, you know, when they find Diane Selwyn's dead body, it's on the bed that you see the point of view shot of someone falling into, and then also the bed that real Diane wakes up in later. You know, just stuff like that the first time you watch it, you don't even remember that it starts with a point of view shot of someone, you know, collapsing onto a bed because it doesn't seem important at all.
No, I didn't remember that.
No. And that would be like a thing that like probably the second time I watched it, I was like, was that there last time?
I had forgotten about it until like the cowboy told her to wake up. And then I was like, oh, wait, I think there was a pillow at the beginning. And then after I finished, I was like, but what was the dancing?
Yeah. That's potentially what started her on this whole thing is she won like, you know, the local thing and that the old people are representative of either relatives or just the judges there that she wanted, you know, that she got like the support and the encouragement from the people that she would least want to disappoint or see her in this state at the end of the movie. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
So wait, so it wasn't actual tiny old people chasing her in the house?
No, those were real actors that were tiny.
Oh, okay. But they were playing like a figurative thing.
Yeah, they were playing it figuratively, but the actors, they didn't have the technology to superimpose.
I assumed that was real. Like small people had broken into her house and were chasing her.
It'd be hard to keep them out.
I assumed that she was like hallucinating, but
you don't have a complete air seal like on any of your doors or windows. Really.
Based on how weird the rest of the movie was, it was hard to decide if this was like a hallucination or if this was really happening.
I think a lot of it you can chalk up to a representation of her guilt.
I like that the blue key came back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That key stuff's good.
That was good. I liked that.
It's good.
See, I kind of wish I had known like where this movie was going when I was watching it the first time. I don't know. Because like knowing that it was a dream, looking back, it's like, oh, wait, no, okay. It's like, it's all kind of confusing like a real dream is. And it's like, oh, you know, you're in a school and now you're not, and you turn a corner and, you know, I've seen this person before but they're actually my teacher or, you know,
right. Yeah.
It's all like a weird dream feeling like that.
Yeah. You see a person that, you know, you're not related to, but you understand them to be like your aunt or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just accept that as reality at the time.
Yeah. And like, that's exactly how the whole thing felt when you look back at it.
Yeah. A lot of Lynch's work has some kind of dream logic stuff going on, or especially to use a famous line from Twin Peaks, doppelgangers, and people who look like each other or the same actor playing different parts, or maybe a different actor playing a different part that is in essence the same person, such as the lead character in Lost Highway. At least I didn't make you watch Lost Highway.
I mean,
I can't find that highway.
Oh, man. I think if I had realized that it was a dream earlier, I would have enjoyed it more. I just spent so much of the movie so lost that they kind of lost me, where I was just like, okay, I can't follow this. I have no idea what's going on. So, like, I was lost at that point with the movie.
Yeah.
By the time that I had enough information to realize that it could be a dream, I was just like kind of over it, I think was my problem.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I was kind of like, I'm glad I wasn't like, here's what you need to know, and gave you like, you know, like a printout of 10 David Lynch facts to help you understand the movie. Because I don't feel like that would have been a fair and like honest takeaway maybe for you. But yeah, maybe it would have been helpful to know. I don't know. I'm not you.
Yeah, I mean, the movie sounds more interesting as we discuss it, but I'm still like, I was just so lost the whole time.
I feel like the more that we're talking about it, the more I dig it. I feel like I like all the parallels between the dream and like the real life.
Yeah.
The key thing was cool. I like that.
So good.
That was really where everything was just like, I was extra lost, was as soon as the blue box opens. 'Cause I think that's when they switch, right?
Oh yeah, well
Yeah.
that's after they go to the nightclub, Club Silencio.
The nightclub confused me a lot. I'm
So-
still confused by it.
All right.
The nightclub was super confusing, and I think I was just mad at myself when the lady who's singing like passes out and it keeps going. I was like, I should have known it was recorded.
It's
How did I
all
not know?
a tape.
I do kind of like it though because I
No.
feel like
Ay, banda.
I was very upset that I didn't realize she was recorded until after she passed out.
at the nightclub, that's when things like really start to not make sense, and I'm kind of like, oh, it's kind of like dreamlike though. Like I feel like that's when you start like waking yourself
Yes.
up, and things like just really don't make sense
That's
anymore.
the unraveling of the dream.
Yeah.
and
They're
Naomi
holding
Watts
each
is,
other and
like,
crying.
You know,
Yeah.
having a seizure, and
Mhm.
yeah, they're holding each other and crying because it's all, it's all about death. And Rebecca Del Rio is singing a Spanish version of "Crying" by Roy Orbison, which is all about unrequited love, and that's what's happening. That scene is so good. I love that scene so much.
That scene is. I'm still confused by it. It was real weird.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's happening in there either. It's fine. I don't know who the blue-haired lady is. For instance,
I don't understand that.
I don't know who she is. I get some stuff she might represent, but I don't know like who she is.
I
Also,
Is
actually
that supposed to be her aunt? Is that God?
I googled it like before this. I was like, "Who's the blue-haired lady?" And then like Google just told me who played the blue-haired lady. I was like, "This is not what I meant."
like obviously that's this actor, you idiot.
How did you not notice?
Google.
She doesn't have
Being
blue hair in
sassy.
real life, you
I
idiot.
was
It's
like,
this person.
I don't know what I expected.
Yeah, that's very funny. Yeah, I think that, so to take it from the beginning of that section, we're kind of jumping around, but it's okay. We're on
The
the
whole
we're
movie
on the
does.
club now. The establishing shot for Club Silencio is my favorite establishing shot in cinema. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't made a ranked list or anything, but the shaky hand cam that like runs across the parking lot and then like goes up into the like right into the door, which is a blue door.
Blue hair and a blue key.
And a blue box.
A blue box.
Anyway, then yeah, that scene's fantastic. It's so unsettling.
Yes.
I love the guy. I think he's the magician is how he's billed, the MC of the floor show. I love the trumpet guy. He's so proud of himself when he's not playing the trumpet. It's just so perfect. I don't know.
Everything was so weird about that scene. A recording.
Yeah.
I
Just
know.
yelling, "No, I banda."
I know we're just going everywhere. I think the other scene that really just was so weird to me is when Betty goes and auditions for that role.
That's the next thing I wanted to talk about. So, the act of like getting second chances, doing things over. You see her rehearsing beforehand with Rita, and then she gets to actually do it in the room there.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. It was just, I was like, wow, this is like very intense. I was like, she's like about to bang this very spray tanned man.
Yeah. She's a good actress.
She was a really good actress. I expected that she was going to be bad.
So this is like a context thing, I guess, that sort of can add to it, maybe, if you're a weirdo who likes thinking about this kind of thing. But this is the first time that Naomi Watts is really being seen by American audiences. This is like, sort of the big springboard for her. And I don't know if I do know for a fact that she hasn't ever been as good in any other movie. But most people seeing this for the first time wouldn't have seen her in anything before. And for the first, what's that, maybe like an hour into the movie, she's just doing like the kind of sort of Pollyanna, just blonde and happy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the beginning, not for the whole first hour, but especially when they're getting out of the airport and she's talking to the old people, there's like a bad ADR track there where they like dubbed over their voices. So just to add like a little bit of weirdness, it's all the line readings are like kind of flat and weird, and it's not quite 100% matching up with the mouth movement. So there's like this artifice and this fakeness happening. And so she really hasn't had much range at all at that point. And then she goes in that audition room and just blows him away. And yeah, it is pretty intense.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it feels like pretty revelatory and this is, in Diane's mind, her as an actual like successful actress that people want to work with, I guess.
Now, what was the instruction that David Lynch gave her? I need you to act like you're a really good actress.
That's the thing, is it's like she does that, and then even when they're just running lines, and Laura Harring, who plays Rita, and then Camilla, brunette Camilla, not blonde Camilla, that's a different person. She has to do like the thing where you're a non-actor reading lines, except she's actually an actor, and that must be hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess
keep acting, but bad now.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that audition scene. Yeah. She flips a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Becomes a really good, really intense, sultry performance all of a sudden. And they're like, we got to bring you across the way. They get a shot in at Bob. Bob is the person who would be directing the thing that she just auditioned for. But then they leave, and the casting director is like, Bob sucks, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out later, the Sylvia North story, which is in the dream, what Adam is casting the new girl for.
I noticed Bob is the director for it in real life.
Bob's the one who directed in real life, and there's the implication that in real life, Camilla slept with him to get that role instead of Diane. So they go across the way. Adam's casting that scene's great. I just love that scene. But yeah, in her dream, she's the kind of girl that would walk into a room and would catch the director's eye. Instead, her former lover, Camilla, is the one who did that in real life. And
I couldn't decide if the Camilla in the dream, in that, and the Diane that was the waitress, and a couple other people looked very similar to me.
Yes.
I assumed it was intentional.
A ton of people look like or are Naomi Watts in this movie.
I was going to say, a couple times I was like, is this Naomi Watts? I was like, I don't think so, but they look like her, kind of.
I think that one, the Camilla that auditions, is the one that I was like, I think for a time I was almost sure that was Naomi Watts, but it's not. It's an actress named Melissa George. And she comes back at the dinner party. She's the other woman that makes out with Camilla.
I was confused by that because it's a dinner party.
The dinner party seems designed just to fuck with Diane.
Yeah.
Yes,
which is weird that everyone was on board for doing bits about how much Diane sucks.
Yeah, because I was confused that she made out with her there, and I didn't realize that was Camilla. I thought that was the waitress Diane.
That's a different blonde lady that looks like Naomi Watts. Just like the prostitute that the hitman talks to.
Yes.
In the alley behind Winkies is also...
I did notice they were behind Winkies.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see if we saw the homeless person again.
Not then, but again, yeah, eventually.
I did notice when we were like in sets that we had already been in. I usually could tell right away.
Yes. Yep, there's a lot of repetition.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, the This Is the Girl scene. It's great. I don't know. I like those audition songs.
Yep.
And then she runs home and they go right into the kind of terrifying horror section of the movie where they go investigate the apartment complex.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was all so weird too. Because then they're like wandering around the apartment complex, but they think there's like gangsters looking for Rita. And at this point, I'm still not sure. I'm still in the boat where I think this is like some kind of mystery where these people are after Rita. So I'm like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? And then they go to Diane Selwyn's house and the neighbor is like, no, I switched apartments with her. And I was like, why does that matter? I was like, what is going on here? And then they're like, well, let's just break in through her window. And I was like, wait, why? This is a horrible idea. What good? You don't want anything from the house. You were just trying to talk to Diane. Why are you breaking in the window?
There's a fun scene earlier when they call Diane Selwyn, when they find her in the phone book. And that's how they find out the address. And Betty says like, oh, must be weird to be calling yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Naomi Watts calling Diane Selwyn.
Yes.
Anyway. Yeah, of course. They switched apartments. She doesn't really want to talk about it. You kind of find out why later. And yeah, I don't know. Why wouldn't they break in? They want to talk to this lady.
Yeah, but she's not home.
Yeah, but they got to know.
As soon as they start breaking, I was like, I knew she was gonna be dead in that apartment.
Yes. Pretty horrific.
I was also confused too, because then later when the neighbor comes to see Betty Diane, she says something about like there's 2 detectives looking for you.
Yep.
Which really confused me because the 2 people who were looking for her earlier were in like the dream were them, and so I was really lost more.
Yep.
And I was like, because I was like, did that happen? But I was like, but you're not dead yet. I knew as soon as she woke up in that apartment, I was like, oh, you die in the bed.
Yeah, that scene's, changes the temperature of stuff.
Yes. I think we were suspicious at one point that Rita didn't exist at all. But then we remembered that Coco sees her at one point in the apartment. Because I think that's the only person who actually interacts with Rita ever.
Yes.
Like whoever acknowledges that Rita exists.
Yep.
So we were thinking that for a little while, that she just was not real.
Yeah. Yeah. So the apartments with this version of Diane Selwyn dead on the bed, that sort of wraps up, and then they go home, have some sex. I don't know if anything happens in between, really.
No, I think that's when I was really was lost, because they didn't seem to be.
It's also, I think it's only been like 2 days.
Yes, I was like, you barely know this lady. All you know is she's having a medical emergency. And now you are like, hey, you don't just sleep on the couch, sleep in my bed. And she's like, yeah, I'll do that totally naked. As soon as she did that, I was like, what is happening right now?
She sleeps in the nude. Some people do.
With a stranger?
Well, they like each other now. They've known each other for like 36 hours.
Mm.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you want from me?
I don't know.
It's a thing that happens.
It makes more sense when you think it's like her dreams, it's her fantasies,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is the version of Camilla that's like,
Super into her.
dependent and in love with her. So
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense now, but at the time, I was just like, this is so confusing.
Right, yeah, because they get home, she's like trying to cut her hair. She's like, stop, I'll cut your hair.
Yes.
By which I mean we're gonna just like push it all into a wig.
Yes.
And so now they look like each other too.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they have sex. A lot of people, a lot of critics, probably mostly male, say that that's maybe the best sex scene ever. So there you go. Pretty solid, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, because that's when she starts saying Silencio.
Yeah, she wakes up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, right before that, like, sex scene is when things started, like, really unraveling and everything started getting really confusing.
Yes.
Yeah, because
things were already pretty confusing up until that point.
It's after they see the dead body, which is, the two sides of Diane's psyche being, so preoccupied with her own death at this point, I guess. Maybe.
I think another thing that threw me off and made me didn't not think that it was a dream was that we keep going to other characters alone. Like, we haven't talked about any of the stuff that Adam did. And like, Adam does a lot. He's like the next most prominent character, I'd say, besides Diane, Rita, Betty, whatever. And every time he does stuff, he's not with them. You know what I mean? Like, because he has this whole scene of him at his house getting dumped by his wife, and he's the one who goes and meets the cowboy, and like, I don't know. He was like a very much a real made character. He's got his like receptionist or whatever, his assistant that's like willing to sleep with him or whatnot.
So that I think the general consensus, though, again, I mean, the whole dream thing could be wrong too. Who knows? But if that's true, then in real life, Adam's the one that Camilla maybe blames for taking Rita away from him because they're getting married and stuff. And so most of the dream is just her coming up with ways to punish him and just make him have the worst day ever.
Just have a bad day.
And really mess with him and take his movie away from him. And then the thing that is sort of like betrays it is that at the end, when he's there casting it, she still wants him to notice her, right? So it's just sad. Diane's pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Because she's had to, be on a set and watching him make out with the person that she's in love with. And yeah.
I did like when he pours all the paint on the jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good scene.
Gene, played by Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
liked him.
This movie is why Billy Ray Cyrus blames David Lynch for all the weird things that have happened to Miley Cyrus without like a hint of irony or sarcasm.
Yeah, that doesn't seem fair.
That's where it all went wrong. It's like, dude, I don't know. I think he's actually really good in this movie.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Just forget you ever saw it.
Yeah. What did he say? You shouldn't treat your wife like that, no matter what she done.
I don't care what she. Legitimately good line readings. Very funny.
It was really funny.
I did like that part.
It was really funny.
But yeah, so if you're taking it as Diane's dream, it's just like his wife's cheating on him. He's getting beat up. He's getting thrown out of his own house. He's losing all his money, and he's getting his movie taken away from him. And and that's what she wants to happen.
And then,
to him, I guess.
Unrelated to everybody, no one else is in it except for his wife and Billy Ray Cyrus.
I don't know what that's about.
When the guy
That's just funny.
beats them both up.
Yeah, and there's
There's a lot happening. I did
think
really like that when that guy punches them both.
I think David Lynch likes when like a tiny woman is doing more advanced fighting moves than you imagine she's able to do. And when she kind of like jumps up on his back and she's almost like trying to put him in like a hold or something.
Oh, you know what? No, maybe we can look into this further because that's David's wife, right? And he's marrying Camilla, right? So maybe Camilla's getting punched by a big beefy Italian guy.
Yeah, maybe that too. And that's also like...
And her lover, that other blonde lady.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really funny. I like that it's in the movie.
I do too, honestly.
It was a funny scene.
Yeah. Then they go to Club Silencio, which we talked about earlier because we were just really excited to talk about it. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys make of that ultimately?
That was my ultimate amount of confusion. Well, no, it wasn't.
When he's
the
looking
next
at her
scene
so hard that she has a seizure.
Yeah, like I was like, she's having a seizure now. And then she like reaches over into her purse and she has the blue box in her purse at that point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how the fuck she get this now? And I was like just so lost at this point. I had no idea what was happening.
I was too, but like I said, at that point, that's the point that she woke up. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's like the whole dream unraveling before she wakes up.
And the lady with the blue hair, where's she sitting?
Up top or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, what do they call that though?
The up topper seats.
Box seats.
Oh, okay.
She has her own box. Anyway.
Okay.
I don't know if that's anything, but those are box seats.
I don't know what this means.
I don't know if it means anything, but there's a box and she's got blue hair. That one's a
blue box.
That one's potentially a misdirect that I thought would be fun to throw into the mix. But maybe it's not. Maybe it matters that she's blue haired in a box. I don't know. So they get the blue box because they've done the fetch quest that Rita dreamed up while she was sleeping.
Yeah.
And so they're given the magical blue box. They go back home and they get the key. And Betty disappears before Rita opens it. And then Rita opens it. And then everyone disappears. And the box disappears. And then you see
the aunt.
You see Betty's aunt. And then you don't anymore.
Yeah, that threw me off too. Betty's aunt's here now.
And then the cowboy tells her to wake up.
Yeah.
What didn't you get about that?
I don't know. It's also clear now.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just trying to help you, but it seems pretty straightforward to me. So she wakes up, gets out of bed. You see that she's in the same bed as the person who was falling asleep at the beginning, the same bed as the dead body. And she goes out to the living room, and the neighbor that that dream version switched apartments with, that seems to be probably an ex or just an ex-roommate that they have a lot of emotional ties to. So probably more like an ex. She's takes her stuff. She takes the ashtray, and that's when, Diane's looking intently at the blue key. And she like goes over to the counter. Then she thinks she sees Rita or whatever. Anyway, you're supposed to like follow the ashtray and the coffee cup and the robe because that's all the chronology of what happens. Because first, the other person takes the ashtray away, but then when she's there with actual Camilla and they're having sex on the couch, you see the ashtray still there, So you know that that's a flashback that she's like thinking about or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
How did I miss that?
Right. Well, it's like an Orca ashtray. So, you know, you should have been like, "Oh, cool ashtray." It's too bad that person took it. And then it changes scene. You're like, "Wait a minute, it's back again." I guess that's what you were supposed to do.
I missed it.
Yeah. So yes, this is the sad, messed up version of Diane that is having this awkward conversation with the person who wants their lamp back. And then it's back in time. Camilla tells her they can't do this anymore. She freaks out about it. Just like has a really sad masturbation session.
I forgot about the sad masturbation session. That was really weird.
Yeah. If you were confused at that point, that can't have helped.
No.
It did not help. Especially too, because it just shows her sitting like staring up at the ceiling. And I was like, what is she doing? I was like, is she like about to kill herself? And then it starts to zoom out and I'm like, nope, not killing herself. Sad masturbation session.
Just sad masturbation session. Yeah. And then she gets the call, and the phone that rings that she picks up is that phone under a red lampshade from earlier in the movie. Yeah.
Missed that.
And when she picks it up, it's the call from Camilla inviting her to the party, which is, in her mind, maybe the inciting incident for all the stuff that has ruined her life. Or not, who knows? But that's the second time you see that same red lampshade.
Yeah, I had remembered it, but I couldn't remember from when.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've seen this before.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we missed the important things that Adam talks to the cowboy about, which is sort of relevant at this point because he tells him a bunch of really cool stuff, and it's a non-professional actor that plays the cowboy. But anyway, he tells him that if you'll see me one more time if you do good, you'll see me two more times if you do bad. And we see him one more time when he says, "Hey, pretty girl, time to wake up." Do we see him another time? Do you guys remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
we did bad.
Mhm.
I was watching for him as soon as he said that because I was like, oh, he's going to be like in the background or some shit.
He was, yeah.
He was at the party that Camilla calls to invite her to. And they drive onto Mulholland Drive. They get to 6980, I think, is the address. Camilla pops up, and the car stops at the same place that it did in the beginning of the movie for Camilla / Rita. You guys know what happened. I don't have to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, that party's really awkward.
Yeah.
So what did you think when Ann Miller, who plays Coco, comes up and is like, "Call me Coco. I'm this person's mom, I guess"?
I was like just more confused.
It's like, God damn it, not again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's just sort of like a greatest hits of all the other people that we've seen in smaller parts in the movie.
Yeah.
Like you see Angelo Badalamenti, who IRL Diane spots across the party and gives her like a kind of like a half nod of acknowledgement. And yeah, just all these weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thoroughly confused at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, I got no idea what's happening anymore.
When I saw the cowboy walk by, like past in the background there, I felt like I was like Leo pointing at the screen. I was like, "Oh,
There he
it's
is."
him. There he is.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because we did bad.
Mm.
But yeah, this whole party is just seemingly designed at most 50% to be an engagement announcement and at least 50% just to be fucking with Diane.
Yeah.
Really mean. These people don't like Diane at all, I guess.
No.
She should know that. She should not have accepted this invitation.
No, she shouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
Kind of
have
seems
gone.
like she sucks, though.
It does kind of seem like she sucks.
Hiring a hitman is a shitty move.
That is a shitty move. She does regret it.
She does, yeah.
But, deed was done at that point. She had the blue key already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It must have been awkward for those people sitting next to her that were trying to make small talk, and she's just like sobbing and just staring really intensely at other people.
Yes.
It's just rude dinner guest behavior.
I still really don't understand why that other blonde girl came up and just started making out with her at like this engagement party.
Well, because it looks like she comes over and like leans into Camilla and she's like, "Let's fuck with Diane," and then they make out. Because she like whispers something to her and then like smiles like mischievously and looks at Diane. and then they kiss. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And then
that
she
can be
announced
the
her
only
engagement
explanation, right?
to a man.
yeah, I
Who
think
is
that's-
sitting right there and is just fine with this.
It's Hollywood. It's showbiz.
It's showbiz.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is the
And then she's at-
overarching theme.
the diner, right? Paying the hitman.
Paying the hitman, sitting at the booth that we saw Dan and Herb at earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She's sitting not in Dan's seat, though. The other one. That's how she looks up and sees Dan at the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I'll get you this blue key when it's done. He gives her a bag full of money.
That's a really cool thing for Hitman to do. Blue key.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
He had to break into her house, though.
So there's some debate. Did he break into her house and leave it there? And that's why she's like staring like, whoa, at it. Either that he breaks it and does it there, or that he's like leaving it at the dumpster behind Winky's or something. And so when Dan earlier saw the horrific person who just like, needs a job, that was because she had to go find the key by the dumpster. And so it was her like walking up to the edge of that corner and like feeling like the tension ratcheting up and like having to confront this horrible thing that she's done. Or not. I don't know. But I'm just saying that's some.
He didn't say he was leaving at the dumpster, so I imagine he broke into her house.
That's always what I've thought, but this is just this is what other people think too. And I don't want those people to not feel represented on this podcast.
Yeah, well, I keep getting hung up, and I feel like I shouldn't be hung up on this, but Dan said something about how he had the dream twice, the same dream twice. So I'm like, oh, well, did they go to the diner twice? And I think we only really see it
I like that.
once, her there once. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You kept saying you think the other girl is an ex-partner. Why do you think that? I was
just the vibes.
Just vibes. Okay. I still don't understand why you switch apartments with somebody.
I think they moved in together, and
But
then
why
had
would
to
you not
move
go to
out.
your original one?
It seems like Diane
So
really
be
fucked
like-
this one up.
You move in with me, Ben. We break up, and I move to your house,
Yeah.
and you stay here.
Well, I don't know. The one that said that they had switched apartments was in the dream, so that could have just been nonsense.
I suppose it could just not be real.
Or that wasn't a dream, and that person's weird.
It could just be a weirdo.
Maybe she was. Maybe you're right. Maybe she was just an ex, and in the dream, like the reason that she still had her stuff is because they switched apartments.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't anything bad that happened. They had just switched apartments, and she left some of her stuff there.
Right? Yeah. It's
You
it's
know.
like a less painful way that she might still have stuff
Yeah,
there.
doesn't make much sense, but it's an explanation, I guess.
Yeah. I've been there too. Trying to make sure I don't forget my Orca ashtray.
Can't part with this.
Cannot part with that.
Okay, and then the tiny grandparents come and kill her.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? She orders the hit. She goes home, gets attacked by tiny grandparents.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it gives you a little finer point of her looking at the blue key again to let you know, like.
Yes. And it's just ratcheting up. It's like really zoomed in on her eyes, and there's lightning, and she's just, completely bereft, I guess, at this point. And she sees those people, the ones that she would least ever want to see her in this state, the ones that she would never want to disappoint, and they're there and they're tormenting her. And she takes the only out that she thinks she has left. And then there's a little bit of a montage. And then we get credits.
Oh, and the blue haired lady. What did she say? Silencio?
Silencio, yeah.
What do you mean? What does she say? It's her only line. Give her some respect on whatever her name is.
What's her
I
name?
could tell you who it is.
You're right. So the montage, you see the I keep saying bum because their credit in the movie is bum. I'm not calling them a bum. I'm not trying to pass any judgment on. I'm sure they've had some bad breaks in life. But it switches over to them. They have the box. They're playing with the box. They can't figure out the Rubik's Cube. They put it in a trash bag.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And they drop it.
They drop it, and the old people climb out of it, and they're like, let's go.
Yes.
So he casts Silent Assassin, and they head out from there. Then after Diane shoots herself, there's the smoke that comes up from the bed, and the smoke sort of like blends into the background, and you see the bum again, and they're kind of just like chilling out in that Winky's alley. And then the bum's face sort of like mixes with Naomi Watts's face, and you're like, that was also a part of her. And then we head back.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely what Greg was thinking at this point. Just another aspect of her psyche, and her self-guilt and self-loathing. And then you see the self-guilt isn't a word. I'm sorry, just guilt. It'd be redundant. And then the blue-haired lady says, "Silencio." Credits.
Mm-hmm.
What's not to get?
Yeah, and then that's right after that is when me and Ray both stood up and like gave an applause.
Yeah,
even though we were at home on the couch. So
Silencio, the last famously words that Hamlet says to Horatio. The rest is silence. Silencio, that's what you'd say if you were trying to get someone to quiet down before a show's about to start. Maybe the curtain's about to open on a new experience that we're all leaving the theater and go back to our real lives. I don't know. It could mean a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
Did that do anything for you, or were you just like really out at that point?
Oh, I was checked out.
So how did you feel when the credits started after that? Were you just like, okay, I guess?
Yeah, I was like, if I hurry, I can get a good amount of sleep still.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, Ben.
Thank you.
Talking about it, like if I had this information going into another watch, I think I could enjoy it a lot more.
As an optimistic person, my sincere hope is that our friends just listen to this podcast and they go, "That sounds fun," and throw it on. Then more people will have seen it.
Had I listened to this conversation, I think I would have been more apt to be like, "Oh wow, this movie sounds cool."
Let's give it a little time. We'll watch it again.
I wouldn't watch it like tonight.
No,
you can give it some time. Yeah.
I'm never gonna be able to fully forgive the movie though. Even though I watched it again, I liked it a lot because I don't know. I feel like it's the movie's job to make sure that I can not be totally lost on a watch of it. You know what I mean?
Well, you did have some emotional journey though. You're supposed to just be experiencing it. So you had an experience.
Yeah, it was not a good one.
Well, you had one though.
She didn't have a good one either.
That's true.
Yeah, well, you're still here.
A root canal is an experience.
You got one up on Diane at least.
Man, now that we've been talking about like how that the bum is just like a homeless person, it makes me really upset because Dan was like, "Oh man, it was the most monstrous, horrific face I've ever seen, and I never want to see them again."
God awful.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, this was just a homeless person."
They were a dirty homeless person.
Yeah, I do
cool,
like
Dan.
the kind of like maybe the undercutting's overstating it, but how the first time you see it, it is a jump scare. Oh my god. I'm dehumanizing the bum again.
You keep calling him a bum.
It's their name. Anyway, so Mr. Bum is just...
Isn't it Miss Bum? I thought you said it was a woman.
She's just out back, man. She's just chilling.
Just chilling.
The next two times, the only other two times you see her in the movie, she's just like, "This is where I live. Like, I don't have a shower. Sorry.
Yeah. I live near this dumpster they throw food in.
I don't think dying was an appropriate reaction. I'm just a person."
Yeah, Dan's kind of a dick.
On a scale of 0.5 to 5 on any scale you're choosing to later be added to our illustrious Letterboxd page, what would you give David Lynch's Mulholland Drive?
I feel really bad about this.
So the lowest score ever given, I think Kyle gave Nightmare on Elm Street a 1 star.
I wasn't going to give it that low. I always feel bad giving movies low scores as if the movie's going to find out and be sad about it.
Yep.
Ben will.
After talking about the movie, it does sound a lot better than the experience I had. So now I'm like, do I go off of how I feel now or like my experience watching it? I'm going to go off my experience watching it, even though I do have a much better taste for this movie after talking about it. But I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 tiny grandparents.
Well, at least there's a pair of them. They can keep each other
Yeah.
company.
I was thinking. I'm very sorry. I think I'd like it a lot more if I went back and rewatched this movie.
All right, that's good to know.
Yeah. I think for me, it's maybe a 3.5. 3.5 Orca ashtrays.
This is going to be, I think, just like doing back of the napkin math, at third or fourth lowest reviewed one we'll have on our Letterboxd.
Oh, no.
And this is my favorite movie that we've done on the podcast.
I'm so sorry, Ben.
It's 5. You left some good ones on the table, for a scale here.
There's a lot of objects in this movie.
There's a lot of objects. That's the problem. What's the funniest option? I don't know.
I wish I had thought about it more, but I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Orca ashtrays is pretty good.
And the other thing is, too, it's a 3.5 now, but I feel like if I watched it again, I might have liked it more. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm liking it. So.
I'm in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it
I liked it more than you, but
5 out of 5 extra seats in the buggy that I'm driving that if you fix your attitude, you can ride along with me in.
Okay, that's a really good one. Yeah, I like that one.
So you guys and 3 others, I suppose. Yeah, this movie's perfect. We all agree. Let's talk about the Oscars. You heard of these things? They give them every year.
At different times now.
Yeah, different times. It's a moving target these days. I guess I can announce here that in March, we'll be doing, as opposed to last year where we just did Best Picture winners from the past, we'll be doing Best Picture nominees from this year. I can't tell you which movies yet because the nominations aren't out for another, as this episode's released, 27 hours.
One day.
If you listen to it at 5 a.m., I think they might actually even be 7 a.m. the next day. So 26 hours after this episode's released. That's how time works, right?
Well, it's going to take about an hour to get to this part of the episode. So 25 hours.
Oh, you're totally right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Unless they skipped ahead.
They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I'll put a timestamp here. The math for a thing works out if you start listening at this point. No other context. You just can listen there if you want. So I'll describe a movie to you, and you can tell me what it is, or I can just tell you a movie, and we can decide whether or not it sounds like it's going to win. It doesn't have to be a game, but just if we wanted some kind of gameplay aspect to it. Golden Globes already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Safe to say a lot of those nominees are probably going to have some overlap. And then the PGA nominees just were released in the last 3 years. Only 4 Best Picture nominees were not nominated for a PGA but got an Oscar nomination. Or it's the other way around. It's either in the last 3 years, only 4, or in the last 4 years, only 3 have had that happen. So bad news for the ones that didn't get in, I guess. And to make this fun all around, I'm not going to look up any plot descriptions. I'm just going to look at some names and tell you what I think I know about these movies. And we'll decide together whether or not these sound any good. All right. There's a few sequels in here, actually. Of the 10 PGA nominees, 4 of them are sequels.
That's interesting.
In this sequel to a 2009 Best Picture nominee, there's some blue people.
The Blue Man Group movie?
Yeah. So Avatar Way of Water. It seems like it's got a lot of momentum. What do we think?
I think it's getting a Best Picture nominee.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get Best Picture, and I'm thinking it's going to sweep a shitload of technical categories. At least it's going to get all the technical nominees. I'll be shocked if it doesn't.
Next one. On a small island, there's some friends. They stop hanging out. There's a drama, but it has some comedy aspects. It was in the comedy or musical category at the Golden Globes, for instance.
I know what it is.
At the SAG Awards, it's one of 2 movies that has 5 nominations, which is, I think, the most you can get, although they doubled up in each of the, whatever. We'll get to that. What do you think it is?
It's Banshees of Inisherin.
It is indeed Banshees of Inisherin. I fucking love this movie. I'm really excited for you guys to watch it.
I'm really excited. I knew it because for some reason I thought it had something to do with an island.
Yes.
I assumed this movie was sad. But it did win a Best Comedy Award. So now I'm confused. But I know the Golden
It's
Globes
funnier
are a
than The
joke.
Martian. I will say that.
Yes.
Which also won the Golden Globe for Best Musical or Comedy.
Yes. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. This one, it's got Colin Farrell in it, right?
Colin Farrell is a really strong contender in Best Actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best actor in a comedy, according to the Golden Globes. Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan are both in supporting actor contention. Carrie Condon in supporting actress. And the movie overall, really strong. I'm probably going to win screenplay, too. We'll see.
This is one I'm really excited for. I'm really pumped to watch this one.
It is maybe not the front runner, but very close to the top of most people's power rankings. I don't know. What do you think? Just vibes.
I honestly don't know anything about it. I've been trying to like not hear too much about it.
Yeah, fair enough. This next one's another sequel. I haven't seen it yet. Seemed sad.
I think I know what it is.
Yeah.
Black Panther?
Yeah, Wakanda Forever.
That do people really think that's going to get a nomination?
It got a PGA nomination.
Oh wow! I heard it was bad.
In the last few years, it's rare for like any movies to drop out, but a lot of people are thinking that if one does this year, it might be Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't good, and I think I mentioned it to you. It didn't look good, and I felt bad because I was like, they just don't have a lot to work with. You know what I mean? It sucks. It just was.
Yeah,
it stinks that they lost fucking Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it on the pod before, but I'm pretty much all the way out on the MCU. So even though
I'm really close,
even though I really like Ryan Coogler, and I did want to see this, it just kind of like timing wise, I guess it just didn't work out. I just didn't go see it. And not to sound too down on it, but it didn't look like a fun time.
No.
And I don't know what people want out of comic book movies anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out on the MCU. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Up next, a star-making turn for a Best Actor potential front runner, either one or two in the race, in this biopic set over the course of several years in America. The lead actor in it has not stopped talking like the character that he's playing.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Elvis.
It's Elvis.
Right?
Elvis.
Yeah.
Man.
I just saw a headline about that today. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing.
It's weird.
Since Robbie's not here, I'll do it for him. I still can't believe Tom Hanks is playing Elvis.
That's another guy that just like still talking like his character from Elvis. Like, hey, well, we didn't Tom Hanks. And he's like, wow, Tom. He just stays in character, I guess. But yeah, no, Austin Butler, I think, is from like California, but he has a Mississippi drawl now. So what are you going to do?
I remember you telling us that you hope we would have to see this one, I think.
Well, yeah, my first reaction, because it wasn't like November, December Oscars play. It came out a while ago. I think it came out in the summer. It made a bunch of money. Austin Butler is legit like A-lister now. And he comes from, I don't know, like one of them Drake and Josh or kitty shows, right? I think.
I don't know.
But he's legit, A-lister now. And yeah, this has a ton of momentum. I didn't think it would at the time. So my reaction coming out was, I really hope this just finds a way to get into Best Picture, because it's going to be so funny to watch everyone I'll watch it again, and I hope everyone really enjoys it in our group that watches all the Best Picture nominees.
All I can picture
it's
now,
definitely getting in.
And if we have to do this movie at some point, you have to put a poster up.
Yeah.
You know how like later on when posters come out, sometimes they'll have like a little blurb from like a critic. I just picture this one now with the blurb. Wow, someone must have really hated this guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't that you told me that one, right?
Yeah, that's what my mom said.
Your mom said that, yeah.
That's the
like,
critic blurb I want on the poster.
Just specifically, Baz Luhrmann really hated Colonel Tom Parker. A man who does not sound like how Tom Hanks makes him sound, like a raving lunatic with a crazy accent. But was like a legit not good dude who really messed up Elvis in a bad way. And so the movie itself is, I don't know if I would say that it was good, but I really liked it.
That's
It's
another
just
good
like-
critic quote to put on there.
I wouldn't call it good.
Next one, a movie that a bunch of our friends have seen already. I don't think you guys have yet.
I
It's
think I know
got-
what this is.
I think it's gonna win
yeah,
Best
it is.
Supporting Actor.
I definitely know what it is.
Maybe get into screenplay. Maybe it's right near the top of Best Picture. We'll see. It has 2 directors.
I really want to see it.
Go for
What
it.
would Catholicism be without the 2 popes?
Yeah, everything, everywhere, all at once.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. That's right. This movie is really fun.
Yeah, I really want to see this movie. I've been like, since you guys went to see it, and I almost went with you guys. I missed it,
Yeah.
and I just haven't found an opportunity to watch it. And
Yeah.
now I'll put it off for a little bit because it's probably going to be a Best Picture nominee. So
As-
You guys have talked it up, so I am excited about it.
Yeah. It's like a big movie that's got a lot of ideas and a lot of stuff going on. And it also came out a while ago. So there's already been like several waves of backlash and backlashes to the backlash. But there's always the advice from this podcast is forget the noise. If you like the movie, then you like it, whatever. And I liked this movie a lot.
I remember you liking it a lot. I
Yeah.
think I remember you saying like something about how it would be cool if it could get into like some Oscar buzz, but it probably wouldn't happen because it came out way early in the year.
Came out way early in the year. It's a movie from, not first-time directors, but guys that are not Oscar-y so far in their career. The Daniels being Daniel Shiner, Daniel Kwan, starring Michelle Yeoh, which helps. She's a person who's been around Hollywood for decades and has been really good for a long time. And this is, I think, her first starring role in Hollywood, at least. She's awesome in it. She kills it. I will be excited to hear what you think of it because it is definitely going to be in.
Sweet.
The movie that was my number 1 of the year by an old master director about his childhood, vaguely.
Fablemans.
Yeah.
The Fablemans.
I really want to see this actually.
Fablemans is so good. Doesn't have much at all to do with like the magic of Hollywood. Some magic of movies and cinema stuff. Sure, it is Spielberg after all, but yeah, a lot weirder. And I don't know. People use subversive around Spielberg a lot, so I don't really want to say subversive, but a lot weirder than I think most people give it credit for. In a good way.
It's funny because there's a lot of movies that look like they're gonna make it that I was like, oh, I really wanted to see this anyway.
Yeah.
Which is unusual. I feel like that's not usually the case.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Something of a surprise in the PGA nominees. This is another sequel that was in theaters for a week and then nowhere for a month and then on Netflix.
I know what this is.
Oh, yes, I know. Yeah.
Glass Onion.
Yeah.
Glass Onion, a
Really?
Knives Out mystery. Yes.
Wow.
So that's in there.
I've heard that this was getting a little bit of buzz
Producers like it a lot.
You know what's funny, Ben? My coworkers were just talking about how good this movie was and asked if I had seen it or Knives Out. And I was like, oh, no. And I've been meaning to watch both of them, and I just haven't found time. And in that same conversation, they mentioned that they really liked Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then I noticed that they had like a movie list of like movies that they're like, you got to see this movie. And their number 1 movie on that list was RRR.
I love RRR.
And I was like, oh, Ben would love this.
RRR. Yeah.
I know, sorry, off topic, but
I'd say that's pretty on topic.
Yeah. well, I interrupt our Glass Onion.
I think I have come around to the prevailing, consensus that Knives Out is better, but I still thought Glass Onion was a lot of fun.
Well, people say Knives Out was like fantastic, so
Yeah.
it's not really a shame if it's better.
No, not at all. And I still think this is good. The next one rhymes with RRR and has the probably runaway front runner for Best Actress.
It's Tar.
Oh.
Tar, tar, tar.
Tar, tar, tar.
Yes, our good friend Lydia Tarr in her autobiographical film, Tar.
This is one that I really am. I don't want to say like it's not one of the ones where like I feel like some years there'll be one where I'm like, oh, I do not want to watch that. It's not that level, but it's just not one that I have any interest for.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I feel kind of in that same boat, but
Well, it's not bad.
I'm thinking I'll be like once I start watching it.
I feel like usually there's quite a few every year where I'm like, oh, I'm not like interested in this. and then they end up being great. As long as it's not one of the ones where I'm like, I am just dreading watching it.
I do try not to form opinions of them before I start watching them because I like to just kind of go in blind, you know?
That's how I am. But this year I happen to just know most of them,
Yeah.
positively.
Yeah. That's why I figured this format is probably fine because you're familiar with all of these. I'm pretty positive. I won't be surprised when it's all said and done if this is my favorite movie of the year. So you will have strong opinions on Tar, no doubt.
Uh-oh.
I'm still upset it's not a dinosaur movie.
No, just about the little Ray of tar pits.
Yeah, it could be a really bad like sci-fi cheesy horror movie where like, the dinosaurs come out of the tar pits, but they're like bones and they like attack people.
All I can think of is our 3-year-old poorly saying Char, which is her cousin's name.
Oh yeah.
So that's all I can think of.
The next one on the PGA list. And then we'll throw in some extra ones at the end too that I think have some chances because it'll be weird if this is the 10, honestly, for Oscars because there's some in here that were surprises. This one is another sequel. I believe it's
I know what it is.
like almost 30 something years in between.
Lock it in.
40 something years in between. 40 years in between almost.
Yeah.
Go for it.
It's Top Gun Maverick.
It is Top Gun Maverick.
As soon as you said those 4 sequels, I knew it was Avatar and Top Gun, and then we went over the other 2.
Yep. Fair enough.
Wait, it was Wakanda Forever. What was the other one?
Glass Onion.
Oh, Glass Onion.
Yep.
Yep.
You guys haven't seen Top Gun Maverick yet?
Nope. I never saw Top Gun, actually.
You don't really need to. They
I'm not
cover it.
I figured.
There's like a montage, I want to say.
It's so far between the two, I was like, there's no way they're going to make a sequel where you need to see the first one.
I'm excited for you guys to take the highway to the danger zone. This movie rocks.
I'm not excited for this one. This isn't my type of movie.
It's okay.
It isn't mine either, but because it saved the movie theaters, I'm actually like kind of like, oh, this. I think this
so
could be
did
fun.
the Minions movie.
And I would happily watch the Minions movie.
Yo, Top Gun Maverick rocks. It's good. I don't know what else to say.
Everyone just says it's so good.
I mean,
it's not my type of movie.
You like it when the planes go zoom? Because they do that a lot in this one. This one has them go and zoom all the time. And then the last one is a movie I don't want to see. And I hope it doesn't get into Best Picture. Because a lot of people whose opinions I generally agree with don't like it. But I don't want to put too much of, a hex on this one since I haven't seen it myself. So I'll say this one was an early contender for Best Actor, and it wasn't seemingly going to get into much else, but now it's here. Maybe it's got some buzz. Very COVID-y movie, apparently. Takes place mostly just in this one guy's apartment.
Oh.
It's the new one from Darren Aronofsky, who made Black Swan, I think.
Oh, I know what it is. I don't know.
Mother was the
I don't know what it is. You know what it is?
Yeah, The Whale, right?
The Whale.
Oh.
Yes, Brendan Fraser, wonderful guy. Apparently he's great in it. He is going to get nominated for Best Actor, seemingly. We'll see.
I would like to see this because I feel like I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's our 10 PGA nominees. Let's throw in some bonuses. This is a movie I like a lot. It opens with an elephant just like really just shitting on a guy for like 30 full seconds.
What? Do other people like this movie?
Yeah, everyone loves this movie.
Do they?
Yep.
Oh, is it RRR?
No.
Oh.
There's an elephant shitting on a guy. Next scene, there's a lady peeing on a guy. And you're like, Oscar favorite.
Wait, do other people actually like it?
Yeah, a lot of people, many people are saying that this is one of the best movies of the year.
Elephant shitting on a guy. Oh, this has to be Jackass.
Oh,
it's not Jackass.
Oh, what?
There was no Jackass movie this year.
It's
the year before.
It's this director's last two were the First Man, and then before that was La La Land.
I have no idea what this is.
Babylon.
Oh, I was gonna guess Babylon, but you said other people like it.
I'm looking
That's
at
what Babylon
Letterboxd. All
starts
the
with?
people I follow, 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars.
All the people you follow.
Oh, my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had you said nobody else liked it, I would have been like, it's Babylon.
I don't know what Babylon is about at all.
I saw it in theater. I just told you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did, I guess.
I just know it has a lot of famous people in it and it costs a lot of money and it's doing really bad.
It is. It did get into ensemble at the SAG Awards, not in the PGA Awards. That's real bad news for Babylon. I really want you guys to see it because there's so many things we have to talk about.
That is a do not want to watch one.
It's so good. It's as long as Wave Water.
Oh my God.
It is, I think, 3 hours and 8 minutes long.
That is not worth my time.
It's not even the weirdest, it gets grosser too.
I don't want to see this. This is do not want to watch a movie.
It'd be so good for our Weird Scene nominations, though.
I'll give you a lot of options. This movie was partially shot in IMAX. Follow up to, I think this is the filmmaker's third movie. This first one did win a screenplay Oscar.
I
know what this is.
Is it Nope?
It's Nope.
It's Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Nope rocks. I guess it's not going to be too many Oscars, but that's okay. The real ones know.
We'll still have to see it if it doesn't get nominated.
Yeah. A strong contender in Best International with a really well-known director. So it's probably, in the last few years, those kind of movies have typically gotten that director into Best Director and sometimes the movie into Best Picture. That's happening increasingly these last few years. So I wonder if it'll happen with this one again. It's from South Korea. I don't think you guys know, so I'm not going to make you guess. It's called Decision to Leave. Park Chan-wook. Movie fucking rocks. You guys should check it out. It's a movie. And
how much do you pay per month for streaming services?
That one's free.
Oh, okay.
I'm not letting it switch into card. It came out on Mubi, so I started like a free trial for I think a month or something.
Oh, okay.
I'm at capacity.
Yeah.
It's one out, one in. And I can't lose Paramount Plus. I can't. That's what Top Gun Maverick's on.
I watch it every day. They go Zoom.
Let's do one more. This one you guessed for something before. I think it is a Tollywood film. It's 3 letters.
Does it rhyme with tar?
It rhymes with tar. It's RRR SS Rajmouli. Him and the 2 stars were at the Ram Charan and Junior NTR. We're at the Golden Globes looking spiffy. They won Best Song for Not To. The absolute dream is that to get nominated for a bunch of stuff because it's a cool movie. And then for it to get nominated for Best Song and then also it'd be a year where they actually perform the songs because that song rocks. So we'll see. A lot of famous people are eligible for a Best Song Oscar this year. But hopefully they go with those guys who do some dancing with their suspenders. And then they do a cool dance.
It'll probably get into Best International, right?
Probably. I don't know. It's an action movie. So the Academy's weird about genre, but it's also like a legitimate international phenomenon that like plays to huge crowds that like treat it like a midnight screening of Rocky Horror in New York and LA. And they're throwing stuff at the screens and everyone's like dancing in the aisles and shit. So I don't know. It's like the kind of cool thing you think you want to highlight.
Yeah.
It's very nationalistic, but like, who are we just talking about Top Gun Maverick to complain about an action movie from a country being nationalistic, Anyway, that's about it.
I am excited for these Oscars. Very, very excited.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I just hope they don't apologize for being movies again this year because that was a weird vibe last year.
I really hope someone smacks somebody.
That too.
There's gonna be a lot of jokes about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they'll make a joke about how he's not there. I don't know.
Well, you can find us on. Yeah, this is the end of the podcast. In case I wasn't there, you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. I almost said Stitcher Premium because I've been listening to other podcasts that are on Stitcher Premium. We're not.
We gotta get on there.
I think it just makes it commercial free, but we don't have commercials. So That wouldn't really help. This is, you've already paid for the premium version of this podcast in the sense that we don't have any commercials, so you're welcome. Podbeans, you can find us on Instagram at latetothemovies_podcast. That's the number 2. Same with the Gmail, latetothemovies@gmail.com. That's how you get in touch with Noah. He is single, I think. You can just, watch some movies, I don't know. I forget what else I say. So watch some movies. Maybe that's our outro now.
The movies.
Thanks for being on, Ray and Greg.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Silencio.